Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Carl Randazzo, who is here on behalf of United Maintenance and Construction Committee meeting. Well, thank you. It's nice to see you.
Same here. And yep, we did have a meeting on April 28th. In fact, that meeting goes down in history. It was a meeting that lasted for 5 to 6 hours. It was the longest United M&C meeting that I had ever been part of. But we did get to discuss many issues that needed the committee's involvement, and it was very fruitful. However, at this time, I'm only going to give you the highlights of that meeting. Otherwise, we'll be here for 5.5 to 6 hours, and we're not going to do that.
No problem.
One of the major issues we discussed was the United Mutual project log. And as a part of that discussion, we addressed the additional details that we would like to see in the log so that we will have a more current understanding of the projects that are being undertaken. Among several issues that we asked to be added is the current start and expected completion dates of the projects, as well as the current status of the project as of the date of the committee meeting. We then reviewed the revised chargeable services list that was presented yesterday for approval at the board meeting. On April 10th of last year, the United Board adopted a resolution as a part of the handyman program. We had reinstituted the handyman program to expand our list of services that would be chargeable so that residents could have a trusted VMS technician repair or replace an alteration that the resident had installed and for which Laguna Woods Village is no longer responsible to repair. In that program, we established a listing of services that would be offered with associated estimated costs that could be charged for those services. As would happen with any program, as we are using this program, we have found that additional services needed to be added since requests have been made for those services. So we added that. The chargeable service listing in the new resolution that was presented at yesterday's board meeting and approved supplements the services that were adopted by the original resolution that was approved on April 10th of last year. We have added 8 additional services to the listing, and you can see the revised listing in the board package that was attached to the meeting notice in the team up calendar, which was agenda item 12B. I need to specifically get with our people that are in charge of the website to make sure that that gets updated on the website also.
So can I ask you a question regarding that? Sure. The handyman program, was it activated at all last year?
It was, okay, but the thing right now is, okay, because of the pandemic, it was activated and then the pandemic went into effect. So hardly anybody used it because nobody wanted people in their manners, okay, because they were afraid of getting COVID. So we did have a program, but it was not really working very well in that it was not many people were calling for services.
So it's open now, though.
It is open. It all depends on the individuals as to what they would like to have and whether or not they want somebody in their manor. Okay. I know recently one of the ex-directors on United had called for a particular thing to be done in her manor, and somehow or another, the resident services didn't get the updated list. They now have the updated list. So that person is now going to get some services done through the handyman program.
Wonderful. I think the handyman program was a great addition. So I'm happy that it's well and open and available. If somebody wanted to participate or use the handyman service, do they call resident services first?
They call resident services first if they want the chargeable services. If they're going to do non-chargeable services, meaning using next door, there was 2 parts of the handyman program. One was the neighboring, okay, portion of it, which means that they get a college student or what have you through the neighboring organization to help them with basically cleaning windows, putting up shelves, that type of thing, okay? Then there's the chargeable services, which requires an actual technician that has some expertise in electrical and plumbing and what have you. Mm-hmm. And that's this portion that we're talking about. The neighboring program is also still in effect. and they have to directly call the neighboring program and
Okay. All
for
right. Great.
those
Thank you.
little nickel dime items. We also discussed potential addition of electric vehicle charging stations in United. We are looking into the use of grant money from Southern California Edison to help supplement the cost of adding these stations in United. Our maintenance and construction department will be making applications to SCE for. Currently, there are no guarantees that we will get any of this money. And if we do, SCE will have an input into where the EV chargers are placed in the community. Mm-hmm. Our M&C department has come up with a potential list of strategic locations for these chargers. However, as already stated, these locations would have to be approved by SCE in order for us to get any of the grant money along with this particular location. In the carports, however, this is not a viable alternative. At this time, if you try to use a carport electrical plug to charge your vehicle, you will pop the breaker if more than one car is charging at a time. The circuit cannot support having two cars charging simultaneously due to the amount of current that these chargers draw. So in addition, the carports only carry 110 volt circuits, and as such, this voltage is not the most efficient way to charge your electric vehicle, besides the fact that these carport circuits cannot support charging of multiple vehicles simultaneously, like I just mentioned. Mm-hmm. So in order to make carports a viable alternative, the infrastructure for all our carports would have to be upgraded. However, the cost to do this work is astronomical, and it is not something for which Southern California Edison would be willing to provide any funding. They want to try to do the job for the least amount of money, but also provide the electric vehicle chargers as required for the funding to do this work. Mm-hmm. Therefore, our only option is to locate EV chargers at strategic points within the village where we have the right kind of power available, which we'd like to get at least 220 volts or 480 volts, which would make our chargers such that you only have to charge in 2 hours or maybe 1 hour. With the 110 volts in the carports, it takes you 8 hours to charge a car. Okay. And if somebody else plugs in at the same time, you pop the breaker, so none of you get to charge.
Well, okay. Hopefully they'll have a solution soon, and they'll be able to approve it, and then you get the funding.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the thing right now is even if we get the funding, there's still money that we would have to be putting into this, okay? There's the monitoring, there's the support for the actual EGV chargers, whereby they have the, we go with a company called ChargePoint, and then there's the maintenance fees that would have to be provided to keep this stuff going. So it's not, there's no free lunch here. But yeah, there is somewhat of a free lunch. At least they give you, I think they give you the entree with the SCE funding. Okay. You know, that's part of the cost. Okay, so and that's a large part of the cost.
Right. Okay.
So and then we also looked into the possibility of saving money with regard to contract roofers responding to leaks that are found in the manors of our residents. Many of these leaks have been found to not be roof leaks at all. In addition, some of the leaks are actually caused by alteration skylights and solar tubes that were installed by the residents. The cost of dispatching these roofers is becoming substantial, and we need to find a better way to determine when we need to dispatch these roofers. We do try to send out our VMS water intrusion people to the manors as part of a triage process before we send the roofer out in order to determine if a roofer is actually needed. However, the time of day that the event occurs or the fact of whether or not it is raining at the time does come into play, and as such, sometimes we must send out the roofers out prior to implementing the triage method. We are working to make this process more efficient and thus lower the costs. As a part of the process, we also need to be diligent in back charging the resident when leaks are found in roof penetrations that were part of an alteration. The mutual is not responsible for the repair of those leaks. Any damage caused by a leak that was the result of an installed alteration, such as a skylight or solar tube that was installed by the resident or the contractor hired by the resident, is the responsibility of the resident.
Right.
That includes the repair of the leak and any damage caused to you and your neighbor's manners resulting from that leak.
Right.
All costs associated with those repairs will be billed to the resident, and we are working to make this process more efficient so that United is not burdened with these costs.
Right.
Our next M&C meeting is scheduled for June 23rd at 9:30 a.m. Please come and join us remotely via Zoom or Granicus, and I think that information is in the blast that's published each week. So
Excellent.
that's it.
All right, Carl, thank you so much. We'll see you again. And next time, I hope to see all of you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay.
And we'll be right back after this.